Well, hey, everybody, greetings and hello to another Tech Tip Tuesday. Here we are in the middle of March already. We keep doing these. It's like the beginning and the middle, It's the months are flying by. So how you doing, everybody? Welcome for you guys that are old timers, and welcome also for you guys that are brand new coming to the Tech Tip Tuesday night. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about any kind of technical related issue with the Blue Dot app, the Pink Dot app, the operations systems, anything like that. I've got a couple of amazing, awesome co-hosts. We got Jake Barron from our corporate operations live from Florida. Hey, Jake, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello, everybody. And we've got Freddie Perez from our technical side. You guys have may talked to him before personal on the support calls. Hi, Freddie, coming from Texas, right?
Absolutely.
Hi.
Just to make that official, how y'all doing?
I love it. And then we've got Michael from the customer service department in the background with the fancy fingers, going to be solving things for us in the chat. Welcome, Michael. Thank you for being here. I'm super glad to have customer service always handy in the background. So let me tell you a little bit about what we do here. Tech Tip Tuesday is, of course, just like it sounds, comes in on Tuesday, and it happens to be your support structure for your technical things. What we do is bring everything to the chat. This is a chat-based forum. So in other words, we don't really take live conversation on the call, but we do all we can to unpack things in the chat. So please put your questions in there, and we will then circulate through those, as well as customer service will be in the back, maybe answering things as well. What we can't do is we can't treat, diagnose, prevent any kind of disease. That's not what we're here for. We're here to solve mysteries in terms of the technical stuff. So I bring all my experience, my knowledge and expertise to the background or to the foreground. But I'm a member just like most of you guys. So I do my best with what experience I've had over the couple of years with Healy. So how about we get started, everybody? You ready?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's a yes.
Let's do it.
The chat room is lighting up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So first, I saw you responded there, Jake, to, sorry about that, Ken. Jump right on top of you. You were asking Paula can she log into the shop account? So do we have an answer on that?
Well, so she couldn't log into BackOffice, probably a user from 2020. So almost 2 years now, depending on when in 2020 they joined. It says invalid user. I'm guessing either something in shop isn't set up for her yet, or something in BackOffice if she hasn't logged in a very long time. So if she was asked to change her password, well, I'm wondering if Paula, in the chat here, did she actually submit a ticket? Because if they asked her to change the password, it sounds like maybe she was able to log into shop to submit a ticket. And in that case, what I was going to recommend, sometimes the sync between shop and BackOffice, they share the same password. And I think it was 6+ months ago, we had an issue where some people were having issues logging into BackOffice. And then the fix for that was to log into shop, go to the change password section, type your current password in the current password, type that same password in new password, and that same password again in confirm password, click save, log out of shop, and then log back into, because that resyncs between the two, between shop and BackOffice. And that fixed that issue for a lot of people that couldn't log into BackOffice. So if she is able to log into shop, I would try that first. But if she can't get into shop to submit a support ticket, it is something that you could possibly request on her behalf if you have authorization to do so from her.
Yeah, the other point there too, going back 2020, the question is, was she trying to log into the partner.healyworld.net versus the new BackOffice or the new shop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's when we converted over in July, we converted over to the new BackOffice and the new comp plan. There was an email that went out to everybody somewhere around July 12th, which gave you an opt-in portal that you were able to, and this was July 12th of 2021. So you got an opt-in portal, and then that kind of helped to synchronize the account, and then you were able to log in And I've had many people that didn't see that or whatever, was not in their back office, just didn't care until all of a sudden one day they wanted to buy something and all of a sudden they can't get in. And so that's been a big deal. But customer service also can do the same thing, giving you a portal for that reset function. And like Jake said, there's a bit of a to-do list there. Maybe you could put that sequence in there. Did that in the chat? Somebody could.
Sure. Yeah.
Then you'd have that, Paula. You can copy and send it off to your person.
Yeah. I actually sent that to somebody about a week ago. So let me just find that again and I'll put it in there.
That's the handiest piece. Copy and paste. That's it. Yeah, I've learned, don't get rid of anything. When you come up with an answer for something, save that somewhere because it's probably going to be another question like it somewhere. All right. So let's see. What is the closest? This is a great question. What is the closest match to Breath of Life within the Deep Cycle or this Deep Cycle H? They have a professional, so they have most of the programs, but not those ones. So with the professional, you should have the Deep Cycle H, depends on when you got it. So Breath of Life was that Deep Cycle. It was created. There's actually some pretty cool scientific information about that, when it was why Deep Cycle was created, all the programs on there, some of the acclamations, or what it was designed for. Man, if I don't have that document available right now, but some pretty cool information. What's closest? So now you're asking for some opinions as to the functions of some of the programs. So I use these programs maybe different than some of the others. So Breath of Life, what does that mean to me? What it means to me when I'm using that program, using some of the improved ways in which I oxygenate my body. The Breath of Life can also mean not just anything to do with just how you're breathing, but also how you're feeling. So I use Breath of Life usually if I'm having any kind of conditions that around respiratory, or even if I feel heavy, I guess you might say, in some cases, to allow some of the expression of breathing, I guess you might say. But what's closest to that is we have a lungs program that's on in one of the, I don't have them all memorized, guys. I use a lot of them, but believe me,
there's so many of them. So.
I can't use all of them because there's so many. But there is a lungs meridian program, I believe.
Yeah. It's in Meridians too. Yeah.
Meridians 2, the lungs. So if we're looking at Breath of Life as a portal in terms of expansion with the respiratory system, lungs are going to be another logical usage program to use. Let's see, what would be another one in my, you guys want to jump in there with your opinions on something close?
I think that's the closest you're going to get. So, because if you look at the product manual for the Healy, Breath of Life specifically says the energetic issues associated with lungs and their surrounding organs. So that's
pretty close. Even on so one of the things where I always start, folks, is on the gold page, the gold cycle page, right? Because there's 7 programs on there really designed to acclimate somebody into microcurrent frequencies, as well, or the usage of it, as well as just frequency therapy in general. So it's going to be the starting point. And on there, there's one that's essentially release is one of the ones that's when you're releasing or not, I don't like to use the word so much detoxing, but letting go, because when we breathe, this is the way the body gets rid of waste, right? There's several ways. So that's part of the lungs job. Release is another similar activity, I guess you might say, in terms of how the lungs operate and function from a bigger perspective. Okay. What else we got? Hopefully that helps on that deep cycle.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Mr. Fancy Fingers there answering that first blue question from Darla tonight. Yeah, so we experienced yesterday evening, we saw some of these happening. And so what I did is I elected not to take any action. Okay. And then when I got up this morning, started my day, I went in and I just simply went into the pink. I did a check for updates, went over to my blue, and it's been running fine all day long. Now, I know some folks had taken some other steps. They uninstalled, reinstalled. They went in and reset the cloud. And that constituted, of course, losing the data. But then also my understanding, again, as Michael had mentioned, the bug tracker team is in looking to correct all those issues, as well as hopefully you saved your master key. You did a backup somewhere. So in the event that they can restore the data that was lost without going in and actually creating a new master key or resetting the cloud, that would aid immensely. Anything to add to that, Jake? I don't know. Have you heard anything new on that?
No, I mean, it's it's kind of one of the, so we did, to go into a little more, we had a different server implementation, which fixed the sync issue that a lot of people were having, where it was taking a long period of time. And we typically do announce anytime there's a server that's going to be down. So you notice at the end of January, we sent 2 emails out that there was server maintenance going on. One was related to not being able to do updates in the app. The other one was related to the actual shop page. This one, nothing was actually ever down, but it was just slow, which caused a sync issue for some people. And Ken, I know you put a great description into one of the WhatsApp groups here not too long ago about what type of issues that can cause. But it's one of those things where Healy we would never do any sort of update or anything that would require you to reset your master key or create a new master key. So we definitely, going forward, I made a point to our team here today that, look, anytime any sort of server issue is being worked on, whether it's just maintenance or optimization, whatever, even if it's not down, the importance of us certainly communicating that to everybody, because while that update's going on, just if something strange pops up, some sort of error message, whatever, it's one of the things where just ignore it during that period of time and don't panic, don't reset, don't whatever. I know it doesn't necessarily fix anything that someone may have done in this particular situation, but it's important going forward, if this does ever pop up again, for sure, that we certainly need to communicate when in this period of time, you might see some strange activity, inconsistencies, whatever. Just wait till it's complete. Then try log it again, resync, that kind of thing. Because yeah, we certainly would not do anything unannounced where we would need to have a new master key or clear out a master key, anything like that. So, and yeah, they're certainly doing some more research into this right now about any, going forward or anything that may have happened versus what the steps would be to possibly sort of reverse anything. But that's kind of all I know right now.
Yeah, I think it's go ahead.
Sorry.
Ken.
Well, the one thing to understand is that, again, the server it's doing everything, not just Healy, Time Waver as well. So there's a lot of content within this server. And if there is a lot of activity, like sometimes towards the end of a promotion, right? We've had that in the past. Now it's getting better. It's always getting better because they continue to improve the function of this server. But many times, now this is our fault. I take responsibility for this because I've taught people a very specific sequence. When an error comes up, here's what you do, right? It makes sense. And one of the things, some of the things are, deleting the app, and then restarting your Healy, resetting, doing hard resets, turning your phone on and off, that kind of stuff. There's a sequence. And last resort is to reset the master key or reset the cloud account. That's a last resort. So these are things that people do because of an error message that the app has given them. Now, the programming of the apps have a specific error message that are generated based on effect, or something happens, and then here comes your error message pops up. This is a learning database, by the way. The app, when new conditions come up, there needs to be new error messages to associate with those conditions. And so when it comes up, it says invalid master key. This is one that's kind of a blanket response to certain conditions. But if the server is being worked on, the access portal is being limited, and a person is trying to back up their content, and it times out, or it gets corrupt content, then a default response or default error by the app is perhaps something around the master key. And so what do? We jump into action to do what we've been trained to do. And some of those things cause us to lose data. And this is an unfortunate thing. It's an unfortunate thing because we want to use our Healy. And as Freddie said, and here's what I recommend, and moving forward, I'm going to really probably introduce this a lot, is patience. Is to say, look, if you can not use your device for 24 hours, again, especially if you're reaching out to your sponsor or out to other people and they're having similar issues, you go, okay, well, maybe it's not just my device. Maybe it's something that's going on globally, regionally, nationally, whatever. So at that point, if there's more than one person having the same condition or same problem, I would say, let's put a pause on, 24-hour pause on, use your Healy, use your coil, go to the Pink Dot app, right? Use the coil and vibrate in that fashion, or, send the frequencies in that way. You may not be able to do scans, that kind of thing, but wait that 24-hour period and then go back and see what happens. Like what Freddie said, this is almost always the case when the load on the server reduces, and then you're able to do your backups, you're able to do your integrations with that server, all of a sudden, no problems. Many of us, well, many of you, I don't have this set, but many of us have the Blue Dot set to auto sync. And when you have it set to auto sync, anytime you open the app, it's going to automatically try to connect to the cloud. And remember, think about this logically. If the cloud is limited in access and your device is trying to access that limited portal, then some ill effect is going to happen, right? It's going to time out. It's going to get stuck at that 5%, that 10%. You guys have seen that, right? You're not going to be able to do a scan, something. So I suggest, and this is just my suggestion, what I've done, and I've found more success in this, is I turn off auto sync, but I set a reminder of some sort to remind myself to do a backup on a regular basis, whether it be daily, weekly, monthly, depends on how much you use your device. I would recommend no more than weekly, but you do a backup manually, so that you're getting the content from the app and all your clients and scans uploaded to the cloud, so it's safe, right? The reason we lose content most often is because we bump up against a problem and we haven't done a backup for 2 weeks. Maybe there's 200 pieces of content in there waiting to be backed up. We haven't done it. And we go and reset the app. We delete the app and reset it, and it works again. All of a sudden, where's all those lists? Remember, they were on the app you deleted, and the content sits in that memory bank, not in the cloud. So the synchronization process is necessary, but if you should do it on, I recommend doing it on your terms. I turn the auto sync off, and then I do those backups when I choose. In other words, the times I'm not doing a scan, any evaluations, things when the Healy's just idle, I'm going to do it right now. The server's not being loaded. I get to choose that. Does that make sense? So then we just have less issues. again, things are improving all the time. So don't worry. It's going to get better.
Yeah, I think it's great that we have so many folks that are becoming aware, to be more aware. And like you said, Ken, you and I, we were telling those people, go through these sequence of steps. And what I'm finding is that we did a really good job because they're out there, doing their best to resolve issues before they submit a ticket or try to contact anyone. But I think today, because things are moving at a faster pace, especially with the tech now, right? Again, that little patience, especially if you're connected to some of these WhatsApp or Telegram rooms, take a peek in there. See if you see others that are having similar issues. That's going to be a good little flag to raise and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pause, right? Like Ken said, pause for a little time, let the techs get in there and do their fabulous work, get it resolved, and then we can move forward. And there's some things, if you've already taken action or haven't taken action, that's when you can come in and do your backups. Information is lost, maybe or maybe not, it's recoverable. But again, patience is a key word there.
Another thing that we need to be sure and do is try to remember the things that you've done. In other words, if an error comes up, what stimulated the error? See if you can write down some of the things that happened, the situation, the circumstances that it led up to it, and then what you did after that. Because you need to submit a ticket. You need to really put that content into ticket form and describe it, whether it be screenshots, all the evidence that you have, because this is the content that CS uses, the customer service and Germany and the IT uses to find solutions. So it's important that we put as much detailed content in a ticket form and then submit that. That's going to be the biggest, I think, a real asset when it comes to solutions is to do that. And here, there's a question here that says, what if I wait the 24 hours and the issue is still there, and it's still not working? That, again, those details, submitting that ticket. If it's been long, the server is operational now. So if it's been longer than 24 hours and you're still having these issues, we need to unpack that, find out what are the exact issues. And okay, so he says, J Fox says, I can't do a backup or a sync. And let's see if you can't get into the app. So if you can't get into the app, okay, first of all, the Blue Dot app, folks, you don't even need to have your Healy on to open the app. And you can do a ton of stuff in there without even having your Healy on. So if the app is not opening at all, then that's a corrupted application on your smart device. Something's wrong. If it's not opening, not getting past that first disclaimer screen or not even coming up at all, then that's something going on with the app. If you get to the disclaimer screen and you can click next and it doesn't open after that, again, problem with the app. If you can get past the disclaimer screen, click next and it opens and gives you your menu at the bottom, that's a whole nother thing. So you got to be more clear. Where is it locking up? Where is it not doing what it's supposed to do? And how far along the line does it finally fail? If it starts the fail part when it's asking you to connect to your Healy, okay, then perhaps we're having a issue with something with Bluetooth, other things on in the background. So how many apps do you have open at the same time as you're trying to open the Blue Dot? As well as environmental. Do you have other Bluetooth content or devices that are trying to operate at the same time? So there's many things to try to unpack in that question. As far as, the app is not opening or not working.
There's
Okay.
a statement in here about my master key. That's coming in from Julie. My master key won't import, so I can't get it to sync. Demo mode works fine. Okay, so when we're talking about that master key and you're saying it won't import, Julie, we need to understand when you initially activated the Blue Dot, did you save it to the hard drive or to the file of your smart device? And then second, did you back it up, say, to an email? So it's okay if you didn't back it up, because sometimes, we get to moving fast and our phones are sensitive. You may just scan and it just loads somewhere on the phone and gives you access. But the key is always to back it up into an email, easiest. Then that way you can open up that email, then you can go and save it, and then go save it. For example, the iPhone, you can save it into the iCloud drive. On a Android, you can save it into the G drive, the Google Drive, right? So those are going to be onto the hard drive of your smart device. Then every time now you open up that Blue Dot app, it's going to be recognized and give you access.
It's possible for a master key to get corrupted when it's on your smart device. This is why Freddie's saying have it also saved in an email somewhere off-site. That's essentially what we call off-site. The hard drive itself has a memory location. The hard drive within the smart device, it's a memory location. It's on-site, and there are apps that are reading and writing from that memory content. Now, this file called master key is supposed to be a unique little spot in there that nobody touches. Well, if you start getting low on memory on your smart device, yeah, it may wind up getting interfaced with, meaning corrupted. And so that master key no longer works. And so if the app is trying to find a master key and it doesn't work, say it finds a master key, but it doesn't work, it's going to say, failed. It's going to have some error of some sort. And if it says master key failed, that's because the master key is corrupted. What some folks are doing, like, oh my God, I need to reset my cloud account. Well, no, not yet, because that's going to get rid of all your data, right, and start over. So as Freddie mentioned, and as we've talked before, is to have that master key offsite in an email database somewhere so that you can go there and retrieve it. Now, the process to do that, the nuts and bolts, the step-by-step, is close all of your apps on your smart device. Close all of your apps. Make sure there's nothing open. Okay. Go and search your smart device for that. Now, if you've saved your master key somewhere in an email, go to your email first, check it, look at it. Yep. Okay. There's a file sitting there, right? Awesome. So then go shut all your other apps off. Go into your smart device and find the current master key that's sitting there. Remember the one that the device that the app says is not working? Delete it. I know, risky, scary, right? But then you go to your email address and pull that file in and save it into your smart device. Now you have a fresh copy of your master key, right? And you've gotten rid of the corrupted one or the suspected corrupted one. It's gone. So then when you go and open the Blue Dot app, it's going to look for a .json file, and it's going to find this brand new shiny one that you just brought in, and it's going to work. Okay, that's just one of the nuts and bolts of trying to get your system back online again. If I'm not going to tell you to go and take a look at your master key and try to find out if it was corrupted or not. Don't try that, because you'll never figure it out. You won't be able to know. You won't be able to know. Only the app knows. Okay. So that's my suggestion in terms of that little workaround, right?
One thing I just want to add, I know we're touching a whole lot of time here on the master key, but it is very valid and important. So what I found last week, I had an individual, they couldn't save, they used Gmail, they couldn't save that master key into their Gmail. And what we discovered is that they had used up all 5 gigs of storage with pictures and videos. So they just had to, remove some of that stuff, free up some storage. So it's always wise to, look at your storage capabilities on your Gmail account, for example. Do the same on your smart device, right? It's not unlimited storage on our devices. So you may have to move some things around just so that you try to avoid what Kim was just talking about, right? So when you have not enough space, right, on your storage, that corruption, when it's kind of like you're having files trying to merge in a little bit together. They're trying to steal space from one or the other. That's kind of what it is, right? And so eliminate that by freeing up as much space as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Another equation, if your smart device, like Freddie's saying, you got a bunch of pictures, videos, maybe you just went through a birthday party, you got a whole bunch of stuff, or maybe you were just on one of our What's Up Wednesdays and you got a lot of screenshots. The point is you got a lot of pictures, and your memory, the available memory on your smart device is low. There's some symptoms that's going to start showing up, that's going to give you clues that it's low. Some of the symptoms are not just Healy app, but most other apps will start having some little weird, odd actions. In other words, even within a text, let's say that you're sending a text to somebody and all of a sudden you're texting, you're typing, and it stops typing on the screen, but you're still typing on your fingers. And then pretty soon what you typed catches up on the screen. Ever seen that? This is an interface issue with the CPU and the display because memory allocation is low. All right, this is a symptom. So other things happen when you're trying to access particular content and it's slower, or it gets, like, for instance, you've got a big file on your smart device and you go to open that file and only half of it shows. You're like, wait, I know it's all there. Where's the rest of it? That's because there's not enough memory location to show all the content on that viewable screen right there. So go to your settings, take a look at your resources. And if you've consumed more than 75% of your hard drive on your smart device, your Healy is going to have issues. It's going to have issues. Okay. Because it's a very resource hungry application. There's a lot going on there, people. I don't think we really realize a lot going on there when it's operating. This two-way communications between the quantum sensor and this app-based programming, a lot going on there. So make sure, take a look, how much memory do you have? And if you don't have 75%, or if you've used up 75%, so you need to have more than 75% available, then delete stuff. I have a separate smart device that I use my Healy on other than my phone, but I also have a phone that has 1/4 terabyte of memory. If you don't know what that is, that's lots of gigs. That's lots of gigs. All right.
All right, I'm going to go back up a little bit here. It's a master key question, but again, it's one that is an important question. So Cynthia has 4 different Healys, and she said the recent Apple update deleted 2 master keys. So anyway, her question was, does each Healy have a different master key, and how do I know which belongs to which? She said some of the master keys don't have the serial number attached. So that's because the master key itself aren't tied to a Healy device. It's tied to your account. So if you have 4 Healys on your single account, you have 1 master key to use for all 4 of those Healys. So if you mentioned that this Apple update deleted 2 of them, I don't know if maybe it was somehow a backup from before got lost in your Apple update. But if you have 4 Healys on your one account, 1 master key, if there's 2 Healys on each account, then you would have one master key for those 2 Healys and 1 master key on that other account for the other 2 Healys. But as far as you would not know which, again, the master key doesn't have a serial number specific for it. So it's just per account. So don't worry if you don't know which serial number to use for which master key, since that particular part isn't relevant. But
yeah. Remember,
just to piggyback on that, Jake, that's a great point. So when you do a backup, so let's say you have 2 Healys in the home, right? Not on the same account, 2 different accounts, husband, wife kind of thing. So, but you're saving both of those in one email account, for example. I always suggest to date and time stamp it, use the last 4 letters or numbers of the Healy, right? As part of the subject line. So when you go research it, you open it up, you say, okay, well, this is dad, this is mom's, here's the last 4 digits or numbers of that Healy. And if you have multiple, 2 and 2, for example, same situation, put the last 4, then that way you can clearly identify which master key is going to which of your Healy devices.
Absolutely. So that the understand a master key. is, like Jake said, assigned to your account. So you can have 10, 12, 15 Healys on that account. The same master key is going to give you access to the same cloud storage, right? Because that's where everything goes, is to the cloud. That's all it's for, is to give you access to your cloud, one cloud file. It's your space. It's your unique space. And the only thing that lets you in that unique space is the key. So this is your wonderful little storage space, and you have a key to get there, to get in and out, right? Like your house. How many of you guys have a key to your house, right? So this is the Healy storage data house. And the master key is how you get in and out. All right. And so no matter how many Healys you have, they all can go to the same house, right? And they can hang out there and get all their content back and forth and be all fine. The way in which you back up content determines what clients and what lists are on each individual app when you open that Healy. It's a very complicated, well, it's complicated if you have a lot of devices, but the actual master key number. So if you look at the master key file, and there's a bunch of numbers and then a .json, right? And let's say that you saved your master key 5 times. And so you have 5 different master keys because they have different numbers. It's the same content in the file. It's just the key name was different because it's time stamped. The numbers ahead of the .json is the date and time in which you saved it. That's it. The content in that file is the same because it's your account. So when people say, I have 5 different master keys, they all have a different number, so they must be a different file. That's not true. They're not a different file. They were just saved at different times. So they have a different name. The .json is consistent. The numbers before are different. But like Freddie said, if you got 2 accounts, the contents of those master keys are going to be different because they unlock 2 different houses. Okay. All right.
You got the summer house and the winter house.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to help Jim out with a question here real quick. So he upgraded from the residence to professional. A lot of people did that in February. There was a great 50% off promo, and he uses his Healy on 2 different devices, an iPhone 8 and an iPhone 12. And he mentioned that the upgrade is on the iPhone 8, but he would also like to use the professional on the iPhone 12. So this is a situation where he's got 1 master key. He's using it on 2 different devices. I'm not sure which when he uses which one on either, but he really, to do this, all you need to do, if it's already on the iPhone 8, it sounds like maybe you haven't connected and done all the updates on the iPhone 12. So if you log into the Pink Dot app on your iPhone 12, first of all, check for updates. With that, connect that device that has the professional tied to it, log in on the iPhone 12 to the Pink Dot app, check for updates. If you haven't done that already, an update should pop up to load those programs onto the iPhone 12, and then log back out of that or close that app out, go to the Healy Analyze app, the Blue Dot app, and actually connect to the Healy. So you actually have to connect to the Healy in the Analyze app on the iPhone 12 before the professional will show up. Then you'll know it's up there because you'll see the coaching module is one of the 3 things on there on the main screen. And that should take care of it. So then you can then use them on either one of your devices there.
Yeah, I have an analogy for you guys to see if you can follow along here for this just a second here. How many of you guys remember the record players? Remember the record players, right? And let's say you had the big LP, the big album, right? And your favorite music artist had 5 or 6 albums, right? You get this one album that has content on it. And you could take that content, that one album, and you could play it on your record player at your house, or the record player in your neighbor's house, or pretty much any record player. And some record players were high quality. Some record players were not very high quality. Some played it really nice, some not. So this is the record player itself is like the different smart device. You have an iPhone 8 and iPhone 12. right? These are record players. They just play the record, and the record is the Healy app. So you put the app on iPhone 8 or iPhone 12, the app is there, and it may work better on the 8 than the 12 just because of some of the programming and some of the features of the CPU, whatever. But it's still, you're playing the same record, AKA the app itself. So you just need to populate the content. And that's the biggest thing, is people are having a hard time going, I have this device and this device. This one will work. This one won't work. Well, we're not bringing both those apps that live within those devices up to the same playing potential. One has been updated, one is not. And so you're still, I understand it. I want it to work on both. And because the Healy itself, the Healy hardware, has the new assignment, AKA the album, it has the same assignment, has all the content on it. So wherever you take that Healy, whoever's smart device you put it on, just needs to make sure that that particular app is updated to that Healy's capability. And it's all done through the serial number, right? And through the login credentials if it's the blue dot. So the pink dot, it's all done through the serial number. Blue dot, it's all done through the login credentials. You just need to make sure that on that smart device, you do those functions, log in to the blue dot, or scan the serial number on the pink dot. Then you'll be up to snuff on both devices. That makes sense? All right.
So I just went through, I saw it in here a minute ago. It was a question regarding, a few weeks back, we were having the issue regarding the Apple 13s. They were in the blue dot, and in some cases they weren't allowing the sync to progress. They weren't allowing access to the databases. And so they were asking if that problem still existed. I haven't heard of a specific update to that. Have you, Jake or Ken?
Now, it had to do with a lot of the being able to scan the QR code.
Right.
Yeah, and that camera functionality. I have not heard of an update or progress on that. No.
Okay.
Anything there, Jake?
No, it's something that most likely it would be. I'm not sure if it'll be through the app update or if this is something like QR code on more recent production runs will be sort of adjusted based off the changes in the cameras on some of these devices.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. There was something here. Let's see.
So while we were talking about the Pink Dot app, I was just going to show real quick. So I don't know if everyone saw, we had an email newsletter that went out regarding an addition to the power of 3. I don't know if anyone saw that there was a great study that was done related to it was bioenergetic events, I believe it was titled here. Yeah, study results on the efficiency and application in bioenergetic events. And at the end of that long email, which had a lot of great study results, there was a surprise that anyone that has Power 3 is getting an extra program added to that module called Rebalance. So typically, I thought this was kind of funny because the last time Healy added a new program, I was one of the last people in the world to get it on my device. But this time, right before this call, I went on. I had my Healy turned off here from earlier, but I went on. I connected to my Healy, and it said there's an update available, and I'm like, no way, like it can't be. And I sure enough, I did the update, and I scrolled down here, if you'll see on my screen, to where Power of 3, and oh, hold on, I didn't close this out properly earlier, so that's why this is happening. So if this ever happens, it's a good training sort of lesson here. If you ever get in this sort of endless loop where you're clicking on stuff and it's coming back to one program, will let you go back to the main menu, just hard close out of it and open it back up again and sort of a start fresh on it. This is one of the more common, I would say, sort of things that happens for people using the Pink Dot app. But this is a sort of start the app fresh, go back into it. And again, it takes me back to this page, but this time it should let me go down. Oop, I scrolled and clicked that to power of 3. Okay, there we go. What I was trying to show you. At the very bottom of the screen, you'll see Rebalance. So before there was 9 programs available on this page, 3 in each section, and now there's that Rebalance program available. So typically when we add programs like this, it takes several weeks to add these to everyone's account because of the number of users that we have. This one should go, I think, a little bit quicker than that, because in the past where we've done this, a lot of times it's been a program that we've added for everybody on their device. This one is just one specific to people that have power of 3. So if you've purchased this module, or if you've purchased a residence or professional since July 7th, power of 3 is included as part of that as well. So check for updates. It could be there already, or it could be rolling out over here in the next couple of weeks. But you might have a surprise waiting for you if you haven't checked for updates. So.
And this is a 102-minute program, by the way, folks. It's a very long, intense program, and we're going to cover that tomorrow on What's Up Wednesday, by the way. So
okay, great.
Make sure you guys tune in to What's Up Wednesday tomorrow, and tell everybody to tune in, because we're actually going to play Marcus's description, presentation, and information about this Rebalance program. So make sure
if you have the power of 3, then that should also show up in the Blue Dot app eventually as well, correct?
Yes. And it takes a minute. It takes a little bit of time. So you've probably noticed that even in the bioenergetic support page, where there was just 2 programs and then coherence was added, right? And so, but coherence didn't show up in the Blue Dot for a while, but now it's there. And so same thing, in terms of this added program showing up in the Blue Dot. So it'll be there. Which means even if you don't have the subscription, you're still going to be able to use it, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome. There was a question here, actually a statement, and I want to go back. I don't recall where it went now. Sorry. Go ahead, and guys, if you got something else, I'll find it. Oh, here we go. So what does activate device with existing master device mean? Okay. So when you first set up your Healy and the device you set it up on, it literally becomes a master device. So, and then if you have other devices, other smart devices, and you load the apps on it, and then the pink dot is not relative here, because the pink dot is just, it's going to scan the serial number and operate. So understand that the Healy app, AKA the pink dot app, the only thing that it needs is a physical. Well, actually it doesn't even need the physical, because you could type in a serial number, but it will scan the serial number. All it needs is a serial number in order to activate whatever programs that particular Healy was purchased under, whatever the edition was. So that hardware will activate the software on the app. Okay. The HealAdvisor Analyse app is a different story, AKA Blue Dot. It's a different story. It's going to need a master key. It's going to need some login credentials to operate. But it can be opened and operated from what's called a master device. So, when you've got the 2 devices there, one that's already had the Healy loaded on it, and the new one you're going to try to attempt to load on it, you can allocate permission for another device to be able to use the credentials of device number 1. That's called activate with a master device. So all that happens, they show up within the lists in the background. There's a very specific way to do that. I think it would be a good idea that we do a recording, and maybe we do a demonstration on Healy for beginners and beyond. That would be a topic that we could give you guys and do an actual live recording and show that how that works. It would be better. Describing it will just confuse you. I just want to know that you know that there is a way to do that. I think we should do that as a video.
Great
Good idea
suggestion.
for a topic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we got, guys?
Okay.
Are there a
Mike,
list of devices that are too old for Healy to function on? That's a great question. So honestly, the operating system in which the device can function on is the key. No, there's not really a list of devices that are too old, but the most important thing is that the device has the ability to upload or operate on a minimum operating system version. And that's version 11, by the way. For the iOS system, it's version 11. If your device only works on version 10.3, then you're going to have problems. Okay. And in the Android world, it actually depends on version or depends on the device, but for the most part, 11 is the same, right? Is that right, Freddie?
Yeah, well, 11 point something is the current, but I think it might be a 9 on the Android as far as the minimum version. Yeah, because I've helped people that have older iPhones, like iPhone 6s, that they can only, the operating system will only go to 12.5 something.
Yep.
And their Healy's one fine from it because it's optimizing at that capacity with that operating system.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you go to your app store and you don't open the app, but you just look at the app. So there's a little functional, a little blue dot that says open, and you open it, and all of a sudden you're in the app. Well, that's not going to give you information. But if you click on the picture within your app store, it gives you lots of things such as device abilities, you know, which device it can operate on, as well as what the operating system minimum requirements are. It even tells you how much memory it's going to use on your device when you load it. So all that's built into from your app store, the information within the app. All apps are that way, by the way, not just Healy, but they're all that way.
Yeah, so Aloha Kathy is mentioned she's got an S5 Samsung. So what Kim was just referring to, go in and check and see what's available with that S5, and then see what you're actually using of it and make sure there's enough capacity to actually open and store the apps for usage.
I'll give you another little secret, by the way. The Healy Pink Dot will operate on a much lower version than the Blue Dot. So I have, like I mentioned, it says that the Healy minimum operating system for an iOS is 11. I have a 10.3 tablet, and the Blue Dot doesn't work, but the Pink Dot will. So it's just, like I said, there's a lot going on when it comes to the Blue Dot. So more CPU interaction that's necessary.
Somebody told me theirs is an energy hog. It uses all, the Blue Dot uses all that energy.
Well, it's giving it to you, so I might, you know, why not, right?
Give it away.
All right. What else we got? Anything else, guys? We got about 6 more minutes.
Ruth made a comment, and I'm not real familiar, but she says, can someone speak about Evernote? I think Evernote is a place to put just the Healy apps for easy access. I'm not familiar with Evernote. You guys familiar with Evernote?
I've not used it. I mean, I've seen it, but I've not used it. Sorry.
So that's a storage of some type?
An app, I believe. I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, yeah.
I've never used it either. I just Googled it now because I wasn't sure. It sounds like it's a note-taking, organizing, and task management archiving app. So
yeah. It's an app, but here's the problem. When you're storing your master key with Healy, the Healy Blue Dot is only going to look in a certain number of places, right? It's not going to look in your texts. It won't look in your texts for your master key. So it's going to look at some of the typical standard storage devices, or I should say programs. So Dropbox is one, right? Your Google Drive is another. So it's not going to look at all of them.
Yeah, it won't look like in your notes.
No.
You know, OneNotes. I mean, I've had people that have copied the whole long string of code in there, and they're like, well, can I just copy and paste? No, it has to be able to extract it or read it, and it just doesn't read in that format.
Yeah, the app itself is reading the contents, but it's not going to look at the individual contents that way. It wants the whole file. It doesn't want to read it from a text format. It wants to read it from a .json format. So you don't want to unpack it and save it anywhere like that. You want to just save the entire file, like a copy and paste of a file, right? Like a copy and a paste of a picture. You know, if you copy and paste a whole picture as opposed to just their nose, right? And then you try to put that together in each individual pieces, it's not going to look the same to a program that's looking for a JPEG, right? It's not going to look the same. So, okay.
We had a question a little bit up from here. I don't think there was so many master key questions today. I wasn't sure if we had gotten to this one or not, but it was, if you have an account master key, how does the master key know if you're using a resident or professional in order to download the correct file? So again, I guess another thing just to clarify on the master key, the programs are tied to your device serial number, not to that master key. So that's how it knows when you connect to your device on the Analyze app or the Pink Dot app, it's connecting to that serial number, and the serial number has certain programs tied to it. So the master key is more so just the client data, the list, and that kind of stuff. That's valid for your whole account versus the individual serial numbers.
So when you come into Healy and you buy a gold, right? You don't have a master key. I mean, your account can have a master key, but you won't know what it is, or even have access to it, or even know it exists, unless you have a resonance or above, or in other words, the Aura module, the resonance module, or the coaching module. Those are the only things that need to have access to the cloud. All right. The gold edition, the holistic edition, they don't need to have access to the cloud. They're just going to be running the microcurrent programs and only the Pink Dot only. The moment that you get an edition that requires the Blue Dot app or the Analysis app, now you're going to be tied to a Healy medical cloud, which is a storage place. And here's why. The reason that you're tied to a cloud is because now this is a secure location where when you do these scans, when you create clients, this is confidential information, right? This is secure data about a person. Okay. And so it needs to be stored in a secure location. And the master key is a 4096-bit encrypted code. It's the only thing that gets you into your house up there, right? And so it's 4096 bits. So when Freddie was saying that somebody had copied all that content, all those little dits and dots and digits and stuff, there's 4096 of them. You're not going to be able to write them down. So it's a very, very secure encrypted code that gets you into that house. And the only thing that you need that secure location for is to keep the content, the confidential content of the client, even if it's just you. You're a very important confidential client. And all those lists have very distinct information about your alignment, right? You may not even, you probably don't even want to tell your friend what came up on that scan, right? I mean, sometimes you're like, you don't even want to tell yourself. I don't want to hear this, right? So let alone letting anybody in public have that content. So that's
a huge valid point. I mean, as the AI technology continues to increase, think about, again, that sensitive data that is you, your family, and others. You wouldn't want someone to be able to grab that and, start figuring out maybe ways just how to market to you, right? Right. That sensitive data, people will pay lots and lots of money. That's why these cyber thieves, as I call them, constantly are having to look at ways to steal this kind of data. So I'm very proud that we have this system in place here to protect each and every one of our information.
And this is the complexity that I was talking about earlier. There's a lot going on, and we just think, oh, it's just Healy running microcurrent. No, No, there's a lot going on, folks. I just want you to get a little perspective. I mean, I know you all are super grateful for Healy and how and what we have here. Understanding the intense interactive modalities that it works with your human body, with these human bodies and consciousness itself, the quantum field. It's literally above and beyond technology that I was having this conversation with somebody before. They thought, is that science fiction? Well, once upon a time, these smart devices were science fiction. And soon Healy's going to be the standard of measure, the standard of treatment, of alignment for in the energy world. It's already creating precedent. So
yeah, the quantum technology of the future is going to make this look like child's play. It really will. Yeah.
well, thank you guys. Hey, I want to remind everybody that, I mean, there's a lot of great content and answers in the chat. So if you guys want to save your chat and you're on your computer, in the bottom right corner of the chat, there's those 3 little dots. Click on those 3 little dots and it allows you to save the chat to your computer. And you'll have that in text form that you can read that. And there's some great stuff in there. You saw Michael put in some stuff about what some of the other similar programs to the Deep Cycle H, the Breath of Life. There's some a great list he put in there. So yeah, so please jump in there, save that before we get off of here. And of course, the how-tos and the resources are all there. All right, guys, thanks for being here tonight. I so much appreciate you guys coming. If this was valuable to you, please do me a favor and do us all a favor, is to invite somebody next time. And then the more we educate them, the better we become as a whole, and the life of Healy just starts to get better and better. All right, you guys.
Yeah, and again, the usual reminder, this recording will be available on our Healy World Americas YouTube page at HealyAmericas.com. It should be up by tomorrow afternoon. And Ken, as you mentioned earlier, join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern for What's Up Wednesday. It sounds like we're going to have a lot of great topics for tomorrow. And you can get to that call directly by just going to HealyWUW.com. It'll take you right to the Zoom link. So again, 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
All right, you guys, have a good evening. Have a good time. We'll see you again next time, huh?
Blessings,
Bye, y'all.
everyone. Good night.